All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's doing well. In today's video, we're going to demonstrate how to set up the double rig using a slip float. Some time ago, I received a question from a subscriber that asked if it were possible to fish the two jigs with the slip float as a presentation, and the answer is absolutely yes. And in fact, it can be a very, very effective presentation to use multiple times of the year, all year round, for multiple species of fish. And so we're going to demonstrate how to set that up for you right now. Also, the two knots that I use to tie this rig are the improved clinch knot and the loop knot. And if you're unfamiliar with how to tie those, please refer to an earlier video that I put together showing how to tie those two knots with large scale material, and that'll make it easier for you to have a frame of reference when tying those knots on your mainline fishing pole. So let's get started. So the items that you're going to need for this setup are, firstly, I run a 6-to-4 ratio, 6-pound mainline to 4-pound leader. And for this setup, you're going to need 4-pound leader line, about 32 inches of it pre-cut to give us enough line to work with for our leader. You're going to need slip float, obviously, 1/32 ounce, 1/16 ounce jig head, a bead, barrel swivel, bobber stop, and a pair of clippers to cut our line with. So let's get started. Okay, so for this setup, the first thing that we do is we attach our bobber stop to our main line. And so for bobber stops, I normally go with two options: either the rubber bobber stop or the yarn or thread for a bobber stop. And my methodology and my rule of thumb is basically that if I'm going to be fishing in water that's deeper than the length of my pole, then I use yarn or thread as my bobber stop. And the reason is that because if, for instance, I'm using a 10-foot pole here, if I'm fishing and I'm going to be fishing down maybe in 15 feet of water, and I have to reel the bobber stop onto the actual reel, when casting, it sometimes get caught in the eyelet, so I use yarn. Otherwise, bobber stops work extremely well. Both are very, very effective and very, very durable. So for purposes of our demonstration today, for setting up our pole, we're going to use the bobber stops. All right, so to attach the bobber stop to our main line, you'll notice that the bobber stops are fixed onto these metal strands, and to detach it from the metal strand and onto the main line, we basically take the tag end of our main line and we bring it through these little eyelets on these metal strands for the bobber stops, like this. And then basically we just take the bobber stop and drag it off of the metal strand and onto our main line, like this. And then what happens is that when we do that, there's normally a crease created here. We'll go ahead and detach and cut that off right there, because that's what cause us some integrity issues down the line, and we don't want that. All right, so now we've got our bobber stop onto our main line, and we next want to attach our bead. So we find our bead and we just attach that. Like that. And then next we attach our slip float. Now you can use with 6-pound test line, it may not be that big of a deal. Normally when we go to 4-pound test, this line will get caught and bunched up in the passageway through the slip float. And some of the recommendations are to just fold this line up if that happens. I don't want to create any additional creases in the line, and so what I do is I just use a needle. If I'm going to fold it, I just use a needle and bring it through. So let's see how we do here. We're getting it through. We may not have any issues, and we didn't. But if you do, you can simply use a needle to bring it through, and it's very effective. And to use a needle, you just thread the needle and do very much like we did with the bobber stop. Pass it through the whole needle, entire needle, through the slip float, through the other side, remove your line, and you're done. Okay? All right, so this is the first part of our setup so far. Our next item to fix to the main line is our barrel swivel. And here's where we tie our first knot, and it is the improved clinch knot. And again, if you didn't get a chance to see my video on how to tie the improved clinch knot, I would encourage you to if you don't know how to tie it, to view that video to get tying instructions on the improved clinch knot, because you may not be able to see very well how I'm going to do it here. But basically, we take the tag end of our main line and we bring it through the eye of our barrel swivel, like that. And we're going to bring about 6 inches through. And what we can do, you can do this 2 ways. Now you can take the tag and bring it around and twist it around the main line 6 times, or you can take your barrel swivel and you can twist it 6 times. Either one, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, about 6 turns. And when we do that, there's a bottom loop that's created. We're going to take the tag end of our line and bring it through that bottom loop. Like that. Hopefully you can see that. And then when we do that, there's a top loop that's subsequently created. And we're going to take our tag in here and bring it through that loop right here. Let's do that. Like that. We want to go ahead and begin to cinch that down just a little bit. And then we want to moisten it. Hold the barrel swivel and the main line and go ahead and cinch that down completely. Like so. All right, we want to go ahead and clip off now our tag end to about 1/8 of an inch. Like that. And that is the first part of our setup. Okay. Now for the second part of our setup, we're going to attach the leader line to the bottom part of the barrel swivel, again using the improved clinch knot. And so it'll be the same knot that we just tied. We'll take the tag end of our main part of our leader line and bring it through the bottom part, the bottom barrel swivel, bottom loop, about 6 inches or so. And then we want to go ahead and make 6 turns. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. We're going to take the tag in and bring it through the bottom loop here. Yeah, like that. And we're going to take the tag in and now bring it through the top loop. Like that. We want to start to cinch that just a little bit. We want to moisten it so as not to burn our knot. Hold the barrel swiveled and main line and cinch it down like this. Okay. Clip our tag to about 1/8 of an inch. Okay. And now we have attached our leader line. So now let's go ahead and attach now our first jig. We bring the lighter jig on first. When we attach our jig, we want the jig to end up about 9 inches or so, about 9 inches from the barrel swivel. So right about here. We don't want it too close to the barrel swivel. And so we'll go ahead and bring it on from the opposite end of the tag line. And this is our loop knot. So we'll get it up to about 9 inches, somewhere around in there. Rough estimation, okay? And then we now tie our loop knot. And the way we tie our loop knot is, once we have the line, the jig fixed to where we want, we fold the line and bring it down to give us about 6 inches. Something like that. And we take the jig and the folded line and bring it around our index finger and our middle finger like this. So that what we can do is bring the jig through this line, through this loop 3 to 6 times. And so for our top jig, we'll only do that 4 times. So let's do that here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Being very careful not to poke yourself. And we want to start to cinch that down just a little bit, but before we do, we want to create a smaller loop. We take our thumb and index finger and we just hold the back part, the inner part of that loop that's closest to the eye of the jig, and we begin to cinch that down just a little bit like this. You can see that's getting smaller and smaller. And once we're satisfied with the actual size, we go ahead and we let that go. We moisten it so as not to burn our knot, and then we cinch that down like so. Okay? And that is our first jig that's tied on. Yeah? And then we just repeat that process now for our bottom jig. Same thing. We're going to tie the loop knot. We're going to bring the 1/16 ounce jig head onto the main tag, the main leader line, about 6 inches. And we want about 14 inches or so between the 1/16 ounce jig and the 1/32 ounce jig. So once we've got that about 6 inches or so, we repeat that process. We fold the line over, we bring it around. That's already increased between our thumb and index finger. We bring it around our middle finger like this and back over to or in between our thumb and index finger. And then we just want to bring this through 5 to 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 6 times. Same thing. We want to take our thumb now and index finger and hold the inner bend of that loop while we begin to cinch that just slightly so as not to burn the knot. And we've got the loop now to where we want it. We go ahead and moisten it, and then we cinch that down like that. And now we want to go ahead now and just clip our tagging off to about 1/8 of an inch. And here we have, whoops, I'll poke myself there. This is what our setup looks like. And so this is a very, very, very effective presentation, again, multiple times of the year. In the wintertime, even in lower parts of the United States, down in areas where the water isn't very deep, it doesn't get as cold as it does in the Midwest, even in the wintertime. But definitely multiple times a year, multiple species of fish. And here in the Midwest, fall, spring, summer, excellent times to use this presentation. You can also add a split shot. This is optional. If you want to get better casting distances, you can add a split shot. And if you were going to do that, I would add the split shot here, right above the barrel swivel. And that way it doesn't affect, if you're going to be trolling this back, as you see me doing in the video, you don't affect the how the jigs, the lively action that they have in the water by presenting this elsewhere on the leader line. But I really don't think it's necessary. There's enough weight with both the 1/32 ounce and the 1/16 ounce jig head to give you plenty casting distance for using this presentation effectively. And that's it. I hope you guys, I hope this was informative enough for you. If you got any questions on the setup, please leave me a comment, let me know, and I'll get back to you and answer any questions that you may have. If you are enjoying the content, we would love to have you as a subscriber. Your subscriptions help support the channel. We would love to have you subscribe with us. Otherwise, we thank you so much for stopping by and joining us today. Go out, get a line in the water, enjoy yourself fishing, and we'll see you along the way.